Two will enter, one will win. Welcome to the fight. Welcome to the knockout.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the first episode of The Knockout, a show that's been in my mind for the past few weeks, months here, just inspired by Comicgories, and I just wanted to have something, little less running around and a little more center focused and all that. And so this is what I came up with. And I am happy and pleased to welcome Matt, the boy who had 7, as my first official guest. So, Matt, welcome.
Hey, can you hear me, man?
Yeah, I can hear you.
I just want you to see the power pulsing around Superior Spider-Man.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, you know you like that.
So powerful, it got 33 issues. And
What's up?
Amazing Spider-Man pulsed with 800 plus,
Right.
30. Ooh. Hey, Comic Wolf, how's it going? So,
What's up, Comic Wolf?
When I got this show, I thought, well, it was inspired by you, so I had to have you, or at least offer the first slot to you.
I'm honored, man.
So, and then I wanted to start out with Spider-Man, so it was like, then I had the idea, why not Spider-Man versus Spider-Man, since technically it's 2 different people.
Right.
So I thought, this argument more than any other would focus down onto technicalities, since it's spider power versus spider power. So it's how you, just like Comicgories, how you spin your information. So.
Oh yeah.
All right. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna have opening statements here, and then we're gonna, hopefully, we get some more people to join us a little bit later. And if not, we'll have to decide amongst ourselves who had the better argument. So, since it was originally supposed to be an hour and a half sooner, but between your work and my unexpected honey errand, it was just a later time. So it was
my fault.
So, no problem. It was partly my fault too. I wouldn't have been able to make the 6:30 anyway without some time to prep again too. So I've been like, ugh. So all right. So do you want to go first with your opening statement since you're the guest?
Sure, man. I'll go first with my opening statement.
All right. We'll let you have the full screen for your opening statement.
So I'm going to let you all see this beautiful picture of the Superior Spider-Man. So for those of you that don't know, the Superior Spider-Man is Dr. Octopus. And anybody that can take over Peter's body and leave him for dead, become the Spider-Man, beat the Sinister Six, and do things that Peter's never been able to do, is definitely far superior. So today I'm arguing that the Superior Spider-Man can take down Peter Parker Spider-Man, and I'll leave it up to you guys to be the judges. Boom.
Not bad. Not bad. All right. Yeah, Mr. Comics 89 here, and I am going to argue that the first and only Spider-Man is the best. He has just his experience and his talent, his brains, and just a couple of examples on why Doc Ock as Spider-Man really is not the superior Spider-Man. There's just things that have been done differently, and it doesn't only boil down to pure victory, beating the opponent. I think the superior Spider-Man would also boil down to character and principles itself. And in that regard, Peter Parker wins this in spades. There's really no comparison, between who was truly the superior Spider-Man. So that is my argument and an opening statement. So bring the screen back up to both of us.
Nice.
So yeah, it's not just the win. It's not just the W in the column. It's the how you win.
Yeah, I agree.
Right.
I agree.
what is your evidence why superior is superior?
Okay, so we've got a lot of different topics that we can go off of, right? But I want to jump right into your opening statement because you said that Peter Parker is somebody that does it right, that is far superior because of his morals and the type of human being that he is. And though I would agree with you, Peter Parker is definitely one of the greatest out there. I'm going to give you 2 pieces of evidence that prove that Superior Spider-Man is superior, even in that realm of morality. All right. Number 1, when Doc Ock takes over Peter Parker's body and Peter Parker's mind, and he finds out that Peter is Spider-Man and he has all of his memories, there's one person that's very special to Spider-Man, somebody that Peter was terrified that Dr. Octopus would be having fun with, and that was Mary Jane. But Dr. Octopus decided that he could feel the love that Peter Parker had for Mary Jane, and he could feel that she was so important that what he decided to do was push her away for her own safety. So while she thinks, what is Peter doing? Why is Peter Parker ignoring me and not loving me the way I'm used to it? He realized he had to push her away, 1, to save her from getting hurt from Spider-Man's enemies, and 2, so that he didn't use her or abuse her in a way that was inappropriate. In doing that, he went and fell in love with somebody else who he decided to start a relationship, and who this Dr. Octopus, who we never think would ever be somebody in love and at the whim of a woman's desire, Dr. Octopus definitely changed. But number 2, and even bigger than that, Matt, okay? In the very end of Superior Spider-Man issue 30, Peter Parker's conscience comes to a point where him and Dr. Octopus are both in Dr. Octopus's mind, and they are kind of talking together and discussing what's happening. And Dr. Octopus's love interest gets trapped, and he realizes that he can save her, or he has this option to save another child, but whoever he goes after, the other one will probably die. In this moment, he realizes that Peter Parker would be the one able to save this little girl or his love interest. And so he, with all the morality and all the love in his heart, gives up the reins and the control of Peter's body so that Peter can go and save both of these characters. If he had no morality, there is no way that he would do that. And so I have to say, in that moment, it's beautiful in the comic book. You see his conscience just fade away and he disappears into nothing. And he does that because he proves that he loves others more than he loves himself, which is what Peter Parker normally does. He's selfless. And the Superior Spider-Man showed in the most important moment that he's the superior, selfless Spider-Man.
Well, I would beg to differ in some of the thing what you said too, because in that scene, he didn't think inside that, well, if I save the little girl, Peter can save my girlfriend and all that. Peter said so himself that he gave up the advantage. He was actually hiding around in back of Doc Ock's brain unnoticed. But Peter, once again, saw Dr. Octopus hesitating and told him to jump. And so reaction, like burst his muscles like he did earlier on. Like, like I said, for in Superior Spider-Man #1 here, Dr. Octopus as Spider-Man almost kills someone. Literally as Peter Parker holding him back. And all that. So he was just reasserting his control. So, well, the reason why Spider-Man is better is, like I said, Dr. Ock had 33 issues as Superior Spider-Man, I believe, including the annuals and all that. He had 33 issues. Spider-Man had 700 before he even died in 700. He has the experience. He has, experience and all that, and that comes with all the what's the word I'm looking for? We'll get back to that. But anyway, yeah, they both share superhuman strength, speed, endurance. They share the physical capabilities, but it's what you do with them that really matters. Time and time again, like in Amazing Spider-Man #4 here, Peter Parker has to think and has to come up with ways to to win. It's not just a simple punching it in. Dr. Octopus, he's more physical. He's more science-based. He ignores his spider sense, or if he doesn't ignore it, he minimizes it because he's a man of science. He plans ahead. He doesn't need this kind of thing. Whereas Peter Parker, while being reactionary, reacting, he does the right thing.
Okay.
And he ends up coming through and behind and thinking up and figuring out the solution. It might take him a little longer to get there, but he always wins.
Yeah.
Can't be the same for Doc Ock, who's lost time and time again, who just happened to get a victory in 700. And it was a temporary one at that.
All right. I've got a couple rebuttals for you. All right. Number one, okay. You said that the Superior Spider-Man almost killed somebody. Well, guess what, man? I'm a huge Punisher fan. And I know that if Batman, like Spider-Man, would take a little page out of Superior Spider-Man or Frank Castle's book, they would make sure that some very innocent people stay safe and healthy. But since they don't, a lot of people get hurt. And so I like the Superior Spider-Man's idea of putting a villain down and making sure he doesn't get back up so that nobody else gets hurt. So I am a Punisher fan. The wife, the girl who had 7, is a Punisher fan. And I like the fact that Superior Spider-Man thinks sometimes I may just have to put this guy down so people stay safe.
Okay.
Rebuttal number 2. I think that Doc Ock and the Superior Spider-Man, when you take Peter Parker's intelligence, memories, his life, that quantity of 700 books, they all just went right into a beautiful 9.8 white page Superior Spider-Man. It's all about that quality over quantity. And I think it proves it in that issue that you just showed, because how many times have the Sinister Six stopped Spider-Man? But I will tell you this, in that issue, the Superior Spider-Man defeats the Sinister Six like that on the first try, because he uses his brains and because he uses his bronze and because he uses his power, and he does it all with Peter Parker's ideas and morality and everything. So he takes the best of Peter Parker's world and adds Doc Ock and becomes once again superior.
True. He does defeat them first go around. He defeated them by spending hours prepping, and that is a solution. One of the things that you just can't always do. You don't always have hours and hours. I mean, we can all win if we have hours and hours and hours to practice instead of just jumping right into something. Anyone would say that that's a better option. But Doc Ock is a little too. He gets too big brother. He decides that he can't react. To this because he was having a date with Mary Jane. Trying to score. But he couldn't do that. His Spider-Man was getting in the way. How does Peter does that? So he invented these little spider bots. It was prepping, but the prepping came back to bite him in the ass. Green Goblin hacked the surveillance system and wired it to ignore any goblin images, and so Green Goblin turned into he could have cut Green Goblin off before he became a menace.
Yep. Instead,
he allowed his hubris and pride and faith in himself. Led it to his downfall. Led Norman Osborn to grow powerful and become the Goblin King and have an army, and that led to his downfall. Yeah. And also, there's another point I had to that. And he also turned into Big Brother. He had a spider minions, spider bots, spider this. I mean, how powerful and how how good as Spider-Man can Doc Ock be if he needs help?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yes, Spider-Man was an Avenger a little bit, but he was mostly by himself, solo for his entire career. He didn't need help. He had occasional help with sidekicks, but he didn't have an army and all that. He still won throughout the day without the hours of prepping. Obviously not needed in this regard.
Doesn't it signal to you that anybody that's humble enough to ask for help might be mature enough to take care of whatever comes their way? I think the superior Spider-Man is superior. And you know what? You said something here that got me thinking. Green Goblin, yeah, he pulled one over, right? Nobody's perfect. Superior Spider-Man made a mistake. But in the end of his story, okay, Green Goblin, the Goblin King, is taken care of. Okay, the superior Spider-Man,
by who?
Injects him with the nanobites that stop him from being able to turn into the Green Goblin.
Yeah, Doc Ock's formula, but whose hands?
That's right, Doc Ock's formula. So without Doc Ock's brain and Peter Parker's body, it wouldn't have happened.
Well, if we're gonna go there,
all right, let's go there.
We're gonna go there. Let's go to Superior Spider-Man number 19, where Spider-Man 2099 came back to the future and the whole Horizons incident.
Yeah,
and the Peter was hired at Horizon because he figured out an equation first day. First day. That's why he was hired. But Dr. Octopus was staring at this equation for hours, and not hours, but for too long and all that, and he ran out of time, and Horizons went up in the smoke, along with Doc Ock. Now, Peter Parker never truly died. He was buried somewhere in the back of Doc Ock's brain until Superior Spider-Man, while not killed, was transported to the future in 2099, still failed at someone he would have considered his inferior subordinate, in knowledge and science. He couldn't figure out Peter's simple equation to save the day and shut down the machine. So, and technically speaking, for all intents and purposes, he died in that regard. So he failed to do that too.
Interesting. I would say that we can spin it the right way, where Dr. Octopus went to the future, learned a lot about the technology and the past, and brought that future back and created a dynasty business that he set up for Peter Parker and Aunt May, and changed the outlook of the entire Marvel comic books. So I'd have to say that, maybe he didn't get that equation quick enough, but he sure figured it out as he went to the future, brought back a lot of that technology and changed things. And what happens when Peter comes back? The empire crumbles. It all falls apart. His billion-dollar industry falls apart because Peter Parker can't keep up with it.
Well, if I remember the story correctly, he managed to hold on to it, and it only fell apart when Doc Ock was making a return, and he chose to keep it out of his hands, and so he sabotaged himself.
So now, who would you say he's superior?
Yes, and I will start my second. I'll start my other half of the argument.
Okay,
not just all about that, and like I said, we can argue all day about who actually is physically stronger. Because in the Spider-Verse, he lost to Peter Parker not once but twice in Part 3 and all that, because he was convinced there's no part he could ever lose to Peter Parker. And so this has to be a me from the past before I took over. So Peter outsmarted him, going, "You win, end it, come on." And so he couldn't do it, or so Peter was able to knock him down, knock him out, put him in his place.
Yeah.
And so there's that one, and that first time in Spider-Verse. The second time in Epilogue, when he realizes he had lost to Peter, the horror, so he tried to destroy the web of life on Loom World and all that to free us, because when it came down to it, he chose himself, self-centered, instead of being the hero that he supposedly learned the lesson from, with great power must also come great responsibility. He chose to protect his own power rather than, well, obviously Peter won in the end, so therefore he is superior. No, he thought, I have to get my power back, and that's the only thing that mattered to him. So it was never, and can never be a hero because he once again only thought about himself. And so, like I said, it all boils down to, yes, those 2 times Peter physically beat superior Spider-Man. So
yeah,
so that's 2-0 on fist fights.
Yeah.
So obviously, Spider-Man, the Amazing Spider-Man, is the better one in physical compartments since they all boil down to the same, abilities. But like I said, it must come from character and morals and all that. Doc Ock would choose a bigger picture and, sending firefighters and all that to MJ's club when it was on fire, instead of going to saving her, he chose, he was minimizing things, overlooking simple robberies in the street when it was a simple robbery that killed Uncle Ben.
Yeah.
And created Spider-Man in the beginning.
Okay, so I'll have to rebuttal with this. So, yes, he sent firemen to save Mary Jane, and she was thinking that Peter was going to show up because she still didn't know that Peter wasn't around. Mm-hmm. But I will tell you this, for his own sake and for the love that he had for Mary Jane that he could feel through Peter's memories, he did that on purpose. He needed to leave her to her own, and he needed to go save his love interest and the love of his life. So it may, our firemen right now, we find out that firemen, they're heroes too, man. And they got a job to play too. And he left them to those street level heroes while he went off and saved the day. So I will say that. But I also say this. Yes, there are some questions in his morality. But if you could share the screen, I've got a little picture up right now. And I'll tell you what, villainy never looked so cool. I got to say, this is one of the coolest suits of Spider-Man I have ever seen. The superior Spider-Man when he's just looking beautiful here. And in this story, have you read this story?
Yeah, I know enough about that to know that that's the cloned, or clone, mixture of whatever. So it looks like Dr. Octopus, but he has spider-like stamina and all that stuff. So. Oh
yeah, man. I mean, this is enough said right here. Look at this beautiful suit. Look at the Dr. Octopus arms. Look at him letting Hydra think that he really works for them while he's still doing good. So I wanted to share that because that is one heck of a suit.
Yeah. Well, I will say this: if this was a fashion contest, Superior Spider-Man wins. I mean, anyone can put on a nice pair of underwear and dance around and swing around the city. So
there you
go. Kudos for him for wearing the nicest pajamas. So, but as we know, it's not the suit; it's the man underneath.
That's true.
The hero.
This is very true.
I mean, like I said, it all comes down to the morals and all that. Peter learned the hard way through, If This Be My Destiny story arc, He learned throughout here that, the true meaning of what a hero was. And he learned just how far, he could go for the ones he loved and cared about.
Yeah.
So, it's not about physical. It's not about, like I said, it's about who you are, his responsibilities, his sense of purpose, he couldn't give up. He had to fight.
Yeah.
That is something that Dr. Octopus lacks. He will not choose that regard. And like I said, and I forget which episode it in, which one it is specifically in Superior Spider-Man, but I do believe he does kill someone.
He does.
He does kill somebody.
Mm-hmm.
And Peter Parker would never kill someone, even if he had a very good reason to want to kill someone.
Right.
You try and marry my aunt, I'd want to kill you too. So that is just sick on so many regards, but he didn't do it. So
I'll give you that, man. Peter grew up with a wonderful uncle and a tragic story. He had a loving and supporting Aunt May. But poor Dr. Octopus, while he's trying to do good and think about the advancement of science, he has an accident, and his arms are forged into his body, and he becomes brain damaged. So you can say that, yes, Dr. Octopus would not be the same as Peter Parker morally, but I'd have to argue that poor Dr. Octopus has a little bit of a handicap and some brain damage. And when he finally mixes with Peter's memories and Peter's life, and he mixes that with his superior scientific knowledge, he definitely puts those together perfectly, and he becomes the superior of the two Spider-Men.
Well, I would argue that to be a villain,
Hey, great man, thanks for coming, man.
I would argue that to be a villain, you have to have a certain level of brain damage, but we're not getting off on that technicality. It's not, oh, okay, he can go to rehab. No, his butt belongs in the, was it the Raft? Or Supermax prison? He belongs in there. So, like I said, morale and all that, Peter wins hands down on character.
Yeah.
But like I said before, Peter has something that Doc Ock would never seem to have and all that. Doc Ock had too much faith in his science, his technology, his hubris on planning ahead. And later on in the Spider-Man series, when things started slipping out of his grasp, he started falling apart and being shit on slip and slide and all that. Things started falling apart for him.
Yeah.
The city turned against him when when the Venom symbiote merged with him after he freed it from Flash because he saw Venom as a villain. And released who he was, kind of thing underneath his more active personality and all that. So the city started turning against him, destroying his spider bots, his grip on martial law-like society.
Yeah.
It just falls apart then, he started losing it. So, whereas Spider-Man, yes, the city was always against him, thanks to J. Jonah Jameson,
J. Jonah Jameson.
That schmuck, But Spider-Man he was a pretty good proficient inventor. Hell, he invented the web shooters and all that. Something he could have made a patent on if he had done it. But no, he kept it to himself and became Spider-Man. Well, I've done my research, but I don't know what I'm talking about.
Come in the beginning, man. I had some bangers.
Yeah. So
I will say this, Mr. Comics 89. I will tell you this, that one of my favorite things in life is a good redemption story, man. The fact that people can fall and make mistakes and continue to learn and get better. I just love that idea. And to have seen the superior Spider-Man, Doc Ock, go through this entire transformation from getting brain damage as Dr. Octopus, fighting with Peter Parker over time, being so wise and so smart that he's able to trick Peter into giving up his body and stealing Peter's body. Then when the time comes and he's able to kind of mix with Peter's emotions and feelings and memories, he becomes better. Now we see in the comics, and because like you said, he only has 33 issues, and now he has a few more comics that he's been in since then. But now we see him still trying. His love interest has told him, get away from me. And through good acts and through making good choices and through redeeming himself and learning, they're getting closer again. And we haven't had the next comic come out because of this lockdown. But I will tell you this, I love to see his redemption story. And I love to think that we have this super villain who has now felt the heart of Peter Parker and has become a better person for it.
Well, I will say that a good redemption story is always good. It tugs at the heartstrings. And the last we heard of Doc Ock in ASM 800, he did have a pretty good redemption story. His superior octopus and all that, he died defending like Aunt May from Goblin Child, Normie Osborn. So yes, he did do that. So hands down to that, kudos for him. But how was it put in Pirates of the Caribbean? The first one good deed does not redeem a lifetime of wickedness.
Interesting.
So yes, he did. So he earned enough for a clean slate, but they did not earn enough for hero status.
Yeah.
But like I said, Peter doesn't have the gadgets that Dr. Octopus has. He doesn't have okay, superior Spider-Man has. He didn't have the science and all that behind him too. He had his wits and his humor and all that. He had to outthink his opponents time and time again. I mean, after all, how many people, I mean, correct, let me know if I'm correct this. Did Doc Ock ever go up against this guy?
The Juggernaut. No, he has not yet, but I imagine if he did, it'd be over a lot quicker than it took Spider-Man to do it.
Yeah, it'd also be over a lot quicker because, you know, Superior wouldn't be able to use the technology to defeat Juggernaut. He'd be in the ground. So, but Peter doesn't have that technology. He has to outsmart. He outsmarted the Red Goblin and Norman Osborn. He had no fire weakness. He had no sound weakness. He was as deadly as the deadliest enemy he could possibly get. And now my recent contest, that was my choice for his toughest fight. No weaknesses, all strengths.
Wait a second. Whose serum was it that had stopped the Green Goblin from terrorizing the world for a long time?
Well, it was Superior Spider-Man.
Serum was that?
However, once Norman Osborn merged with Carnage, he reversed that and he got his Goblin powers back. So it was a temporary victory.
This is true.
You know, so you can pour water out of the boat all you want, but if you don't plug the hole, you're still going down.
Yeah. Do you know who Terrax is? Because I got a good friend, Southern Comic Geek, in the chat, and he's reminding us that the Superior Spider-Man took out Terrax.
Yeah.
And go ahead and ignore the Gray Man's comment.
So, but anyway, so Peter outsmarted him. He knew. He talked him out. He talked him, like Norman. It's not going to be your victory. It's going to be Carnage. Everyone knows it was their power. So he tricked a unstoppable villain into separating himself, weakening himself, and then he was able to take him down. Because time and time again, he might be outmatched. He might be overpowered. The other person might have far superior technology. But Peter always comes out ahead.
Okay, so let me say this then, because we've kind of hit on this before, but now that we have more people in the chat, we need to make sure we revisit this, okay? What happened when Spider-Man tricked the Green Goblin and Carnage? Did he beat them? Did he put them away? Did he stop them from hurting anyone? No. Absolute carnage came around and killed a whole bunch of people because Peter couldn't put him in his grave. I'll tell you what, the Superior Spider-Man doesn't have a problem when there's a real supervillain out there putting him down so he never hurts anybody again. Like I said before, Frank Castle, Punisher, thinks the same way, and you know I'm a big fan of him.
Yes.
So,
yes, Punisher, Superior Spider-Man, great anti-heroes, but they will never be heroes. And so let me see if I can try and get my screen. I wanted to try and show my own thing. Anyway,
I'm gonna let people look at mine meanwhile and see the power pulsing around this beautiful Superior Spider-Man costume.
Yeah, because you can't win on arguments alone. You have to use pictures.
That's right, baby. Look at that beautiful art and that beautiful suit.
Where is it? I had it here somewhere. I have too many thumbnails on here. There we go.
Let's see what you got, man.
Well, I found the folder. Now I'm going to see if I can share the screen.
Cool.
I haven't shared anything like this before, so it's going to be a new experience. All right.
Let's see what you got.
There we go. Is that it? Did it come in?
I would open it up a little bit bigger and then share that part.
I'm trying to. Like I said, I've now done this before. I can't do that. There we go. Oh well, I can't seem to get it. I'll have to figure out for something else.
Can you double click on it and open it up so that it's the picture's big on your
I guess I could try to do that.
Yeah, and then you just share that picture.
All right, let's see.
So once you go to share, you can look on the share screen. It's not coming up.
It's not working out the way I want to, so I'm just going to go ahead and try and end that. So,
okay.
What I had in here was, like I said, the picture. When it all comes down to it, at the very end, like I said, in it all comes down to Superior number 30, like you said, at the very end.
Yes, I love that issue.
When he had to shoot when Superior was trying to save his girlfriend. He was tricked, and it's tricked that one person. The other girl was a girl or child, and all that. And so he was torn. If he jumped and he miscalculated, he would die. And then he couldn't save Anna Marina, and couldn't save his girlfriend.
Yeah.
And so that was causing hesitation. And so
Right.
Peter was yelling at him afterwards that guys, where is it? When there's time, you weigh your options. When there's no time, you always act. You do what's right, even when it gives up the advantage. He gave up his hiding. He let him know he was there again. Doc Ock could have put him down again, purged his mind again. But he realized after that fight, he couldn't defeat the Green Goblin. He couldn't save it. He only won truly superior Spider-Man. As you said so yourself when you alluded to the image right there as he's fading away. Doc Ock himself admits that Peter Parker is the superior Spider-Man. And so when the other side admits that you're better, that you're obviously better.
Yeah, man. Matt, there's been many times in my life where I've had to say other people are better for their own sake, and because the situation called for it. And in that moment, Dr. Octopus shows you he's superior because he's not so prideful and doesn't have so much hubris, like you said earlier, that he can't see the truth in front of him. And in that moment, ask for help. And I think part of that redemption story of Doc Ock, the superior Spider-Man, proves it right there that he definitely is not devoid of morality or goodness or brains. In that moment, he recognizes he needs Peter's help. And I think that's important to point out.
All right. Do you have any other points that you want to bring up? Because I'm about at the end of what I had.
No, I'm all pointed out, man.
All pointed out. All right. So I'll let you do your closing argument, and then I'll do mine, and we'll send it off to the chat for a vote.
Awesome.
I'll send it off to the jury of comic peers to figure out who is the superior or the better fighter.
Awesome. While I am talking here, I want you to look at this beautiful suit and remind you, sometimes in life, somebody comes up with a great idea, and that idea is revolutionary. But then the second guy comes around and makes that idea even better. In tonight's show, I think I've proven that the superior Spider-Man, Dr. Octopus, is definitely superior. Not only does he have Peter's body, Peter's strength, Peter's agility, Peter's memories, he has Peter's experience now that he's taken over his mind and his life and his body. He also mixes that with his own experience, his own prowess, his own intelligence, his own ability to use his brain and become a master at everything that he does. And so I would tell you guys today to vote for the superior Spider-Man. He does so good, and he's only got 33 issues, 733. You may think quantity beats quality, but like me and my 9.8 white pages, quality beats quantity. Vote superior Spider-Man.
All right. As we all know, Spider-Man's been around for a while. He's been through his ups and downs, his trials and all that. He's had to learn time and time again what it means to truly be a hero. He's had his stumbling blocks. He's had, where he's made the wrong decision. He's walked away. He's acted rashly, but he's always come out in the very end to what's right. He has the experience that Doc Ock never had. Doc Ock, as Superior Spider-Man, only knew how to lose. He did good for a while, but he overreached in his technology and his hubris, and ultimately, in the end, it was what brought him down. Peter has his own weaknesses and his own flaws, but one thing he didn't have was Superior Spider-Man's. He knew his limitations and all that. He knew that he was only human. He had to always make the right decision. Superior Spider-Man's pride led to his own downfall. It led to mistakes. Norman Osborn as the Green Goblin hacking his spider bots. Allowing a threat that could have been squashed easily to grow into an army and a nation. Spider-Man is the best. Not just, he beat Doc Ock's Superior Spider-Man twice in Spider-Verse. And he's beaten countless enemies time and time again when logically he had no chance. Juggernaut and the Red Goblin, for instances. Hell, even Venom, who doesn't trigger his spider sense. Superior Spider-Man has technology. Peter Parker only has his spider sense in that regard when it all comes down to it, and he utilizes it. He's able to win time and time again. Might not always win the first time, but like ASM 3, when he loses the first time around to Doc Ock, the new foe, and it's the first time he meets Sandman, but he comes back and always wins in the end, because that's what a real hero does. And to finish it off, I will make the point that even Doc Ock himself, in the last page of Superior, before Peter Parker takes over in number 30, admits that you are the superior Spider-Man. And when your opponent admits that you're superior, you really are superior. And that is my argument. All right.
Let's get this vote on.
Let's vote now. Who is the best, not just morally, but physically as well? What does the chat have to say? What? See, even the opponent, like I said, he admits.
Oh man, you know what, Matt? I'll let the voting go on, but we'll see if we get maybe one or two more in there.
Yeah,
I knew these were our options, and of course, my heart is with Peter Parker. Man, I think he is far superior than the Superior Spider-Man. But I thought since it was your show and you have such a love for Peter that I should let you argue his side. And I thought it would be fun to play devil's advocate tonight and see if I could even get one vote. So we'll see what happens, man.
Like when I wanted you to choose because you were the guest, and so I'm like, I knew like Spider-Man, so I was like, I was prepared to argue superior. In fact, I was going, okay, I can do this, like this. When you said, "Oh, just superior," I'm like, oh, I mean, I wasn't quite amazing anyway, but I was getting excited. I like a challenge.
You know what's funny? After you told me, I had forgot I had picked superior, and for some reason in my mind I had picked Peter. So I started I would be thinking, and writing stuff down. I'm like, all right, this is gonna be good for the show. And then like a week ago, I'm like, oh crap, I picked superior.
Well, so far I have. Well,
sweet man, 1, 2, 3, 4. You swept me, bro.
Yeah, I can't win on Comicgories, but I can win on my own show. Yes,
that's right, baby. That's right.
I don't have to tinker. I don't have to stuff. I can take these ballots out of the voting box now. I won.
That's right, man.
Well, I think that's about it. I don't think there's anyone else there. So it looks like it was.
Thanks, guys, for voting.
4-0 for ASM. So thank you very much, everyone, for coming. This was great, and thank you so much, Matt. This is a lot more fun than I was hoping for. So
I'd love to do this again, man.
Definitely. So I'll have to send you a list on a few more candidates to vote for, and hell, I'd love to have you back. Of course, if anyone out there would like to do this, just a little banter back and forth, hit me up. My Instagram or my channel email should be in the description.
Cool.
I would love to have you on the show. I'd love to argue. Episode 2, which I don't know when exactly I'm going to have it premiering exactly, will be me against, unless he is busy, Southern Comic Geek.
Oh, cool.
We're going to be doing, I believe it was Fantastic Four, what I was doing, against the X-Men Gold. The Gold team. So
nice, man.
We're going to do different characters at a time. That was the point. I had here a list. Like Superman versus Thor, Green
Lantern versus Nova, right?
Nova or Doctor Strange. Captain America versus Iron Man. Captain America versus Superman, because he just doesn't quit.
Right. I can do this all day.
Thor, Spider-Man versus Daredevil. Both those Wolverine daughters,
Or Thanos versus Darkseid.
Yeah, I need to definitely do that. Write that one down.
This is such a fun show, man. I had a blast doing this, man. I totally want to do it again. So
Definitely. So if you want to be in the show, hit me up on Instagram or my channel email, which should be in the description below, and we'll pick characters and we'll figure out a time. Right now, I don't know how often I'm going to be able to do the show because the prep work I want to do, it'd be at least the very minimum, maybe every other week. But I'm thinking it might be a 3-week or a month thing, just so I can do other things and responsibilities as a husband and a father. I can't just be only YouTube. And I'm sure, as Matt would obviously agree, there are limitations to what we should do because of our responsibilities.
Right.
But next episode will be episode 2, which will be, like I said, X-Men Gold versus Fantastic Four. After that, hit me up. I'll be asking other members of the community if they want to join. But if you contact me first, you jump to the front of the line. So, thank you again, Matt, for coming. This has been a lot of fun. I had a blast.
Thanks for having me, brother. I loved it, and I can't wait to see more arguments in the future, man.
Yes, and I finally came out on top of a contest. I've been waiting for this. Now I just need to win. Now I just need to win on Comicgories.
That's right, man. That's right. We'll get you back on there for sure. All
right. So, thank everyone for showing up. Hit that like. If you're not subbed up, hit that sub because you can't be on the show if you're not subbed up. Little carrot there, Nice. Make sure you subbed up. All right, so stay tuned, everyone. And as I always like to say, happy collecting. I will be having a big, huge unboxing either Friday or Saturday. It's the single largest book on my 2020 wish list.
Yeah, congratulations.
It is. That's no other word for it. So I'm super excited and I cannot wait to show it to you guys. So stay tuned for that because it will be like a last minute up advertised because it'll basically be the day it comes in. So I have no idea when I'll be doing it. So just keep those eyes open and that notification bell hit. So as I always like to say, happy collecting. And as Matt likes to say, mischief managed.
That's right. See you guys later.
See you later, everyone.
Night.